All right, I want to welcome everyone to our webinar about something that's very near and dear to us. I know it's near, but it might not be dear, but that's cybersecurity and how we have to really work hard to protect ourselves, to protect our data, because the people don't stop coming after it. So we're so pleased to have this webinar. Before we get into that, I wanted to briefly introduce my company, JD Technologies. We're a field sales company that represents manufacturers, and we apply consultative selling to our selling. That's our selling approach. So we're serving the aerospace, the military and defense, the medical, as well as the industry space. We are certified. A lot of people don't realize that a manufacturer's representative, which is what we are, they can get certified. It's a very rigorous process of going through the certification, but we accomplished that probably about 7, 8 years ago. So we are a certified professional manufacturer's representative. Okay, I want to introduce Trevor Sylvia. He is the Executive Director of Operations at Reboot IT. And Reboot IT is a company that offers small and mid-sized businesses very reliable, efficient, and effective IT services. I know from experience because they are part of our team, both computer services and cybersecurity. We're going through a rigorous certification for CMMC, and they are helping us with that. So Trevor has a lot of experience, a lot of good practical hand-on experience in IT infrastructure as well as cybersecurity, having worked as a systems administrator and a COC, which I didn't even know what it was till I met Trevor, but that's a Security Operations Center Manager. So you're going to see he's very passionate about building practical and secure solutions for us, and I'm so pleased that we have him working for our company. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce Trevor.
Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate that. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you to JD Technologies for hosting. Highly appreciate it. John gave me a great intro, so I'm not going to bother reviewing all of that. I do also want to mention that on top of the Security Operations Center, I have previous experience as on-site IT for a food manufacturing plant, as well as help desk for the New Hampshire Army National Guard. While I was in the Army, my focus was on encrypted radio communications. This webinar is designed to reset how individuals and organizations think about cybersecurity by emphasizing practicality over complexity. Many people assume that effective cybersecurity requires expensive tools, large IT teams, or deep technical expertise. But the reality is that most successful cyber attacks exploit basic, preventable weaknesses. The purpose of this session is to demonstrate that meaningful risk reduction can be achieved through a small number of focused tools and disciplined habits. By concentrating on common attack paths such as phishing, credential theft, and unpatched systems, organizations can dramatically improve their security posture without disrupting daily operations. Reboot IT's approach centers on making cybersecurity accessible and actionable for business leaders, IT professionals, and everyday users alike. Rather than overwhelming participants with theoretical frameworks or vendor-heavy solutions, this session highlights practical controls that can be implemented immediately. The mindset shift is critical. Cybersecurity is not about achieving perfection, but about making it significantly harder for attackers to succeed. When organizations adopt this approach, they move from reactive security to proactive risk management. Attendees are encouraged to listen for at least one idea they can implement within the next 30 days, reinforcing the message that small, consistent improvements create lasting security outcomes. My apologies. Cybersecurity is no longer a concern limited to large enterprises or highly regulated industries. It affects organizations of every size and sector. Small and mid-sized businesses are frequently targeted because attackers know they often lack mature defenses and formal security programs. Cyber threats such as ransomware, phishing, and credential theft can lead to operational downtime, financial loss, reputational damage, and regulatory consequences. Even a single compromised account can provide attackers with access to sensitive data, internal systems, or financial resources. This slide reinforces that cybersecurity is fundamentally a business risk, not just a technical problem. Leaders must recognize that digital systems control nearly every modern business function, from communication to finance to customer service and operations. When those systems are disrupted or compromised, the impact is immediate and tangible. The good news is that most attacks follow predictable patterns and rely on human error or neglected maintenance. By understanding this reality, organizations can focus their efforts where they matter most. This section emphasizes that cybersecurity investments should be proportional, strategic, and aligned with actual threats rather than driven by fear or marketing hype. The goal is to build awareness and urgency without creating anxiety, setting the stage for practical solutions that follow. Understanding how cybercriminals typically gain access to systems is essential for effective defense. The majority of breaches do not begin with sophisticated hacking techniques, but rather with simple methods such as phishing emails, stolen credentials, or exploitation of known software vulnerabilities. Phishing remains the most common entry point, using deceptive messages to trick users into clicking malicious links or entering login credentials on fake websites. Credential theft often follows, especially when users reuse passwords across multiple systems. Unpatched software also plays a role as attackers actively scan the internet for systems missing critical updates. Once inside, attackers move laterally, escalate privileges, and deploy malware or ransomware. This highlights that attackers rely on scale and automation, targeting many organizations at once and succeeding where defenses are weakest. By recognizing these patterns, organizations can interrupt the attack chain early. Preventing initial access is far more effective and less costly than responding after systems are compromised. The hope is to prepare attendees to see how the tools discussed later directly address these common entry points, reinforcing the importance of layered preventative controls. One of the most important messages in this session is that cybersecurity improvements do not need to be overwhelming to be effective. Small, targeted changes can significantly reduce risk when they address common attack methods. For example, implementing a single control, such as multi-factor authentication, can prevent the vast majority of automated account takeover attempts. Similarly, enabling automatic updates can close dozens of known vulnerabilities without ongoing manual effort. This emphasizes the concept of layered security, where each control adds friction for attackers and reduces the likelihood of success. Cybercriminals are opportunistic. When they encounter resistance, they often move on to easier targets. By raising the baseline level of security, organizations make themselves less attractive to attackers. This also addresses the psychological barrier many teams face, where security feels too complex to start. By focusing on incremental progress and achievable steps, organizations can build momentum and confidence. Over time, these small changes compound, resulting in a much stronger overall security posture without significant disruption or cost. Credentials are one of the most valuable assets to cybercriminals, making password protection a critical priority. Password managers play a key role by enabling users to create and store unique, complex passwords for every service they use. This eliminates password reuse, which is one of the most common breaches spread across multiple systems. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, adds an additional layer of protection by requiring something beyond a password, such as a mobile prompt or authentication app. Even if credentials are stolen through phishing or a data breach, MFA can prevent attackers from logging in. This explains why these tools are considered foundational security controls and why they deliver such a high return on investment. From a user perspective, password managers actually simplify daily workflows by reducing the need to remember multiple passwords. From an organizational perspective, they dramatically reduce the likelihood of account compromise. This reinforces that protecting identities is often the single most effective step an organization can take to reduce cyber risk. Email remains the primary delivery mechanism for cyber attacks, making phishing defense a critical focus area for organizations of all sizes. Effective protection relies on a combination of technology and user awareness working together. Advanced spam filtering helps block many malicious messages before they ever reach inboxes, while phishing reporting tools allow employees to quickly flag suspicious emails for investigation. Security awareness training plays a key role by teaching users how attackers operate and what warning signs to look for, such as urgency, unexpected attachments, unusual sender addresses, and requests for credentials or payments. Phishing simulations reinforce this training by giving employees safe, hands-on experience identifying and responding to realistic threats. Encouraging users to pause, verify, and report before acting is one of the most effective defenses available. This approach emphasizes that users should be treated as part of the security solution, not the problem. When employees are empowered through training and simulations, organizations gain earlier visibility into active attacks and can respond more quickly, creating a culture of shared responsibility and continuous improvement. Patch management is one of the simplest yet most frequently neglected aspects of cybersecurity. Many cyber attacks exploit vulnerabilities that have already been identified and fixed by software vendors, but not applied by users or organizations. This highlights the importance of keeping operating systems, browsers, email clients, and critical applications up to date. Automated updates play a key role in reducing the burden on IT teams and ensuring consistent protection across environments. Attackers actively scan for unpatched systems, making delays in updates a significant risk. This reinforces that patching is not merely a maintenance task, but a security control that directly prevents exploitation. Removing unused or unsupported software further reduces the attack surface. By treating updates as a priority rather than an inconvenience, organizations can eliminate a large class of avoidable security incidents. No organization can prevent every cyber incident, which makes preparation and recovery capabilities essential. I'd like to focus on the role of modern endpoint security and reliable backups. Endpoint protection tools help detect and contain malicious activity on devices, providing visibility into threats that bypass other controls. Backups, particularly those that are offline or immutable, are critical for recovering from ransomware and other destructive attacks. The ability to restore systems quickly can turn a major incident into a manageable disruption. I want to emphasize the importance of regularly testing backups to ensure they function as expected when needed. Knowing that recovery options are in place changes how organizations respond during incidents, reducing pressure to make poor decisions under stress. Together, endpoint security and backups form a safety net that supports business continuity and resilience. Key takeaway from this webinar is the value of focus. Rather than attempting to implement many security controls at once, organizations should identify their biggest current risk and address it directly. This might involve enabling multi-factor authentication, improving phishing reporting, or enforcing automatic updates. By choosing one improvement and implementing it well, organizations build confidence and momentum. I encourage attendees to assess their environment honestly and prioritize actions that will have the greatest impact. Security maturity is a journey, and progress is achieved through deliberate, consistent steps. This focused approach reduces burnout, increases adoption, and leads to more sustainable outcomes. Over time, each successful improvement lays the foundation for the next, creating a cycle of continuous risk reduction. I want to bring the session together by reinforcing the core message that small changes can make a meaningful difference in cybersecurity. Attendees have learned how cybercriminals commonly gain access, what warning signs to watch for, and which practical tools can significantly reduce risk. The emphasis is on action, selecting one idea from the session and committing to implementing it within the next 30 days. Whether the next step involves enabling a security feature, educating users, or reviewing update policies, taking action is what transforms knowledge into protection. This conclusion also highlights Reboot IT's role in helping organizations assess, implement, and maintain effective cybersecurity controls. By focusing on practical, high-impact solutions, organizations can strengthen their defenses without unnecessary complexity. I'd like you to leave this webinar today with encouragement and clarity, leaving empowered to improve your security posture starting today.
Well, here's one question. It has to do with password managers.
Yeah.
There is a lot out there. What do you look for and what do you recommend? Is there one that really comes to the top as far as being the best? What are some of your thoughts and recommendations on that?
Great question. So there are a few that initially come to mind that I think are really useful and easy to use overall. The one that Reboot IT leverages is called Keeper. I personally think it is very user-friendly. I think it's easy to implement within the web browser as well. Another great one is Bitwarden. I used Bitwarden previously, and it was very helpful, as well as there's another one that I have less experience using, but I know that it is effective and liked, which is 1Password, the number 1Password. Overall, the biggest thing to remember when choosing one is being able to really access it wherever you need it. Most of the time, you want to make sure that you also can access it through a mobile app, as well as through the web. One of the pushbacks I've heard in the past about utilizing password managers is, well, what if I find myself on a different device and I don't have my password manager installed? Well, if you have it through a web portal, just open up a browser and you should be able to log in securely. So it really just keep that in mind, is that being able to access it wherever you need it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Another question has to do with encryption. If a company, small business, large business, whatever, if they're encrypting their email on their server, is that enough? Is that a good security policy, or should they be doing more than that? So it has to do with encryption. Is that something that is a standalone or only a piece of the puzzle?
In my opinion, I think it's a piece of the puzzle. Now you can definitely encrypting email, so that way there's more of a secure tunnel between you and the person you're speaking with, and vice versa. That's a great step. However, it also emphasizes the fact that that person that you're speaking to could still be a malicious actor, even if it's a known contact. We've ran into it multiple times where someone who's a known contact, they talk to them all the time, they got hacked, and there's no knowledge of this. So the next follow-up email in the chain, even though it's going over an encrypted tunnel, could be malicious in nature, whether that's a link, an attachment, or even just saying, hey, by the way, I need to update where you're sending that payment. And it can seem harmless initially, but the encryption of that email isn't going to necessarily solve that.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought, because when somebody is thinking that they're safe because they're encrypting emails as they go out, that might be fine for their server, but then once it gets transferred to another server, you don't know what that other server has. Whether it's if they have encryption, is it compatible with the encryption that's coming from this other server? So it's a big no-no if you think you're secure by just encrypting emails. You're really not. So thank you for that. And then the final question here has to do with ad blocking. I have experience with using ad blockers that work pretty good.
Mhm.
in keeping those ads from popping up. Is there any security element to that by
To
having an ad blocker or not? Or is it just
to
blocking the ads?
no, to an extent, there is a security portion to it. So we've seen it in the past where malicious actors will embed themselves in ads. And so the
Oh,
ad can look completely legitimate, but let's say hypothetically, a malicious actor got access into that and embedded a link. Well, now you're clicking a link that hypothetically should be for this thing that's being advertised. You want to go buy a thing on Amazon and click the link, and unfortunately it brings you to what could be a lookalike page. It looks like Amazon, feels like Amazon, asking you for your Amazon credentials, and now hypothetically you've just given them your access into your Amazon account, which could have saved payment methods and things of that nature. So there is definitely a security element to ad blocking. It's not just for getting rid of the inconvenience or annoyance of ads.
mhm.
But overall, the primary thing would be to avoid the excess, I guess, the
Okay,
excess
well,
exposure.
thank you for that. Excellent job, Trevor.